one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Janie, would you like to call the order?
Dave Emspoker,
Present.
Tom Beller,
Here.
Paul Gaines.
Here.
Tim Gerlach,
Here.
Brendan Laumeister,
Present Zoom.
James Lorimer,
Here.
and John Stutzman.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Thank you. We have the minutes from the March meeting, March 4th, 2024. Are there any corrections? There being no corrections, is there a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I'll second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of accepting the minutes as they are? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It carries. Janie, was there anyone interested in addressing public comments?
No, sir.
Okay, then we'll move on to new business. We have been asked by the City Council to review and see if we want to change our date for meetings and how often we think we should meet. We're going to have a presentation here from Annie, I believe.
Good afternoon, Chair Amspoker, Commissioners. So last week, the City Council held a Board and Commission planning session where they discussed various things that have come to them feedback-wise from the different commissions and commissioners. One of those things was that some commissions wanted to have a conversation about the day they meet, the frequency they meet, and the time they meet. So they asked that we put that back out and offer it, if desired, to all of the commissions for consideration. If you guys are happy that you meet on this day at this time and the frequency you have, then there does not need to be any sort of request come forward. If there is any part of that that you do want to have council consider changing for you, then you guys would just give council your top 3 choices, and then they would take that into consideration when they're reviewing the code and ordinances as far as boards and commissions are concerned. Again, you don't have to make any changes, but they want to make sure that they gave everybody the opportunity to do so.
Thank you. Anybody have anything they want to add to that?
Opinions? Okay, go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
Just real quick, I think we should meet once every 2 months instead of once every quarter. I think that once a month seemed to be a little too frequent for a lot of the stuff, and then right now it's not quite enough. It just, for me, the sweet spot would be once every 2 months.
Tom?
Yeah, I did what Paul's saying, that with all the growth that's going on out there, the development, I think it would be best if we tried to do this every 2 months.
Sounds like we have, what do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I agree. I think that once a quarter, too much passes without us meeting or discussing it. These are more valuable than doing it once a quarter.
Brandon, do you have an opinion, or John?
I agree with everybody's assessment too. Every 2 months seems like a good idea.
Yeah, it sounds good to me also, every 2 months.
Well, it's amazing that we all think alike. I'd like one caveat added, that we could call an additional meeting as needed, since there's some pretty big things going to be happening at the airport. Big things have already happened, and we're pleased with the development that's going on and the improvements, but there may come a time when we'd have to have a special meeting, and I don't know how difficult that would be to call. Counselor.
Sure, I can jump in. Carl Cooper, I'm the city attorney for those who don't know me. Definitely when we're working on updating the codes about this, that's something I want to make sure we add in because there could be something that just pops up that definitely needs to be addressed as soon as possible as opposed to waiting once a quarter, every 2 months or whatever. So we're trying to make sure we can accommodate all those types of situations.
Okay, so it wouldn't be
It shouldn't be an
Difficult.
issue at all.
good.
So.
Then I'd entertain any further discussion?
So you said the counselors need like their top 3 choices or something like that? For,
Only if you care to change. So if you're just asking that you want to do it every other month, that's an easy enough prospect to address.
okay.
We can do that, but it was if you're going to change the
So
time.
if we wanted to change the
date,
time or the date?
Then we're going to start bumping into things. So
Okay, all right,
I
thank you.
think we can work around just every other month.
Well, is everybody happy with Monday at 3 o'clock? The third Monday of the month?
Sure.
Can I put a motion to recommend that we do every other month on Monday at 3 o'clock?
Sure.
I second that.
So
If
it's
I
been
felt that
moved-
was a motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we meet every other month or bi-monthly, 3 o'clock on the third Monday of the month. Is there, and there's a second? You, Paul? Yeah. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds good, thank you, it passed. Moving on to reports, we're gonna let the industrial park staff report come first, because hi,
Hello. How are you guys doing today?
good.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Amspoker and other commissioners. Thank you for having me here. This is our industrial park report that we're looking at tomorrow. I gave you guys out a handout that I put on your podium, and it's for the Mojave Community College Advanced Manufacturing Training Center. They are having their groundbreaking tomorrow at 2 o'clock. You guys are all invited, as well as the public has been. We would hope that you would turn out for that. 10 o'clock. Yeah, not a problem. We would hope that you guys would attend. We've been helping, and when I say we, the Economic Development Department has been helping Mojave Community College by sending out surveys to the industrial park businesses to find out what their needs are so that the Advanced Manufacturing Training Center can focus on making sure that they have the personnel and the type of classes that would specifically help each and every business there on the in the industrial park. So far, we've had 19 businesses that have replied and turned in their survey. A lot of information so that you have an idea. They're asking, do they need hydraulics training, electronics, different types of mechanical, and what kind of teaching do they prefer? Do they prefer it to be on-site, off-site, Zoom, with an instructor that they provide or an instructor from the facility? So there's a lot of questions like that. The responses have been fabulous coming in. The I-40 Trade Port Corridor, as you know, we've been talking about this for a while. The corridor agreement is going to be on the council agenda tomorrow. Basically, this agreement is an overall umbrella type of agreement, basically stating who all the players are and what their roles are. We also recently had a Kingman Terminal Railway Economic Impact Report and the value of rail. We found that a lot of the companies that are using rail and that are there now wouldn't be there if we didn't have the rail. Also, in addition to that, we have some economic impact that's happening. We have 13% or 15 businesses that are currently using the rail. And with that, it supports 622 jobs in the industrial park, which supports $33 million in payroll, which in turn creates a $214 million economic impact to the Kingman area. So the value that the rail brings there is very, very important. In addition to that, they also provide a stream of revenue that comes back to the airport. Right now, it's 4% of their revenue, and this last year it was $85,000. With the increases that they're expecting, should go up over $100,000 in the next year. Part of the reason that we were reaching out for this is we went in and looked at the operations agreement that was currently in effect, realized that there were some things that needed to be updated, so that amendment to the operations agreement will be going before council for approval on July 2nd. So if you guys are interested in that, when the agenda's brought up, you guys can take a peek at it. Otherwise, you can also email us. I'll be able to get that to you. So the last thing on my list is the industrial park traffic. You guys know, if you've been out there and are leaving the industrial park anywhere between 2 and say 5 o'clock, you're sitting in traffic multiple times at that signal trying to get out of there. So we have reached out to the county, and we have also reached out to ADOT. The county has reached out to ADOT. Doug has also. So with that, they are working on the first option, which is to create the signals that you see up here to last a little bit longer. And that should help more traffic to get through at each green session that they have that comes through.
Can they set it for a little longer during that period of time?
Yes, that's what their
only,
intention is,
or
yes.
would it be just always longer?
No, it would be on during those times.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then the second option, if that doesn't work, then they're going to try to pursue making that right-hand turn lane into a straight, a second left, and or a right option turning. The problem with that comes in when you hit the median. It narrows down, so it will have to be widened out. And in the thought process that eventually we're going to have Grace Neal Parkway coming through, however, that is not going to be coming through for a while. They're waiting for, the county is waiting for the development to come out that direction to be able to expand and let that come through. Other than that, it's just a process of working through things. There are pros and cons to them. I vote for this option, but you know, who am I? Just one of the people who are out there seeing what we can do, you know?
Yeah, that would help a lot. In fact, one of my employees talked about that a while back, and I went, you know, I knew there were some issues turning in width there, but I'm glad to see that that's up there and you guys are thinking about it. Because it would
Yeah.
help. If you're out there and those trucks are leaving, it's like, if two of them could do this at the same time, it would really lighten things up out there.
Yeah,
So.
it really would. There's one other issue that I wanted to bring up. The industrial park had an incident just recently out there. It was a fire that started at behind one of the businesses. They did not have their weeds, were not abated in the back portion, and they sparked through grinding a fire that actually burned up to one of the other businesses. And so we are just going to be making sure that through CAMA and other avenues that we reach out to the industrial park businesses and make sure that they are trying their best to keep their areas free of debris and weeds so that we do not have a catastrophic event in the industrial park. Any questions? Awesome.
Thank you.
That means I either did a really, really good job or something.
Yeah, that fire was right behind my hangar, when that fire was. You know, I'm on the airport side, of course, but when there was a fire at the industrial park, people live far away, they can see the airport, and I got all these texts, what's on fire out there, or is everything okay? And I went, I don't know, because I was inside the building, and I opened the back door, and like, holy cow, and like it was like right
Huge.
there, but the wind was going the way, and it was, after a while, I was looking at it for a while, so let me just see what's going on. It was getting pretty bad. This is just a small little quick story, but I decided, I think I'm gonna close the door, and, because I don't know what's going on in these containers, or chemicals, and it wasn't super close, but I thought it could be pretty exciting if something did happen to go kerblowy, and I was just looking at this thing from, it was probably an eighth of a mile away, but still, it got kind of nasty looking at some point.
It did, and we were called right away about the incident, so I got in my car and drove past just to see where we were at, what we were doing, and I parked a safe distance away to keep an eye on it and report back to the people that were asking on our end of things and making sure that all was being taken care of, so. Anything else?
Did Northern Arizona Consolidated Fire District respond
No.
promptly?
It was City of Kingman who responded,
Really?
yes.
Is right.
Terry, may I mention something? The Northern Arizona Fire District and Kingman work hand in hand. When Northern Arizona is unable to respond to one of their areas because one of their assets are off-site, Kingman kind of comes in and assists with that and vice versa. So both the groups very much work hand in hand to cover such a large area.
Yeah, they have a mutual assist agreement, but the fire station over just off of Northern, and I think it's Able, is much closer. So that's why I thought they would have been the ones to respond.
Yes, sir. They did have one support vehicle there, but I didn't follow up to find out, but I'm pretty sure their other units were probably busy at the time. It was much easier, quicker to get Kingman asked for that assistance.
Tom, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, I don't know if I'm correct or not, but doesn't the city of Kingman have a weed abatement program or some type of ordinance that there are problematic properties that they can red tag or motivate the owners to take care of the weeds? And knowing that the airport's in the county, I guess there's another question. Is there a similar ordinance, if there is an ordinance in the city, for the county?
So I guess I can jump in on that
Thank
real
you.
quick. Yeah, the city does have public nuisance ordinances, and weeds are part of it, but that's outside our jurisdiction. That's in the county. The county does have similar ordinances, and it would be better appropriate to make some of those requests through their public nuisance process, but because we have an insider now that works for the city, we might be able to see if we can get something moving that way, because I know our city manager used to push some of that when he was in the county, so.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
The response time was fabulous from the city.
Well,
It wasn't bad.
It was like within five.
oh, I'm sure. Thank you.
All right, Chair, Vice Chair, here is the airport divisional report for, actually it should be say June 17th, 2024, not July 17th, 2024. I apologize, I have everybody trying to wrap me up on July 17th for meetings, and that's been my primary focus. One beautiful thing, airport staff update. One of our airport operations specialists, Donnie Mott, has completed his Association of American Airport Executive Airport Certified Employee, sorry, I know that's a lot, Safety Management System course, and now he is accredited by AAAE when it comes to safety management systems on airports. That's both airside and ground side. That is very much an accomplishment. Those tests could be very long, and they have a pool of 1,000 questions, and they take about 100 of those questions from the pool and they apply it to the test. So each time you take it, it can be new. And he managed to complete it on his first try. So we're very happy, very excited for him. SMS is really heavily pushed for on when it comes out for commercial airports, but we're looking at leveraging it for our smaller airport to see if we could find some safety gaps that we've been missing and start addressing safety management issues a little bit quicker. And a lot of this ties into the airfield inspections, the driver's training, and you just keep going down the list of cracks on runways, taxiways, wildlife, all that's tied into safety management systems. So we're very proud of our staff member for receiving his ACE and SMS.
Is that something that some other employees there can do also? You have to be at a certain level before you can take this test, or how does that work?
We actually have our employees studying on multiple different versions. One of our employees is studying the operational side. And best way of putting it, people ask for me, they say, if you had a good way of defining the ACE program, if you take a football field and every 25 yards, you say the first 25 is operations, the next 25 is SMS, the next 25 is maintenance, and then the next 25 is finance and security. You're kind of going through just that entire 25 yards and you're digging really deep down. Whereas if you go through the other programs, you may work on that football field, the entire football field, but you may only go 2 inches down. So it goes very much thorough. He completed the SMS side. We have one member that is studying for the ACE operation side that deals with everything from runways, taxiways, fire and crash, instant command systems, overall increasing operations for airports, weather. You just keep going down the list. It is fairly big. And then we have another individual, and I have never seen the booklet for the electric and maintenance side of the ACE program until we signed him up for it. He wanted to take that one, and we printed it out, and it is massive. So usually you're given 3, 4, 5 years to do this, but he's definitely going to need it. We are going to be sending him to some online courses to provide assistance, because it is, when you start stacking all the modules, it's about that thick. Yeah. So he's learning a lot, but that covers everything from your airfield lighting, your wind cones, your overall maintenance, best maintenance practice procedures on airports.
So it sounds like something you guys encourage, or you're encouraging these employees to look into and advance their careers, if you will, and that kind of stuff too. So
yes, sir, very much so. The more educated the employee is, the better off for the maintenance of the airport, reducing costs, and for explaining it to tenants, and also identifying safety hazards on the airport. Yeah. So we are very much encouraging that. We're going to encourage Mr. Mott to go after some other accreditation programs. At the same time, our newer staff member, Sean O'Cray, we told him to start looking at some of his ACE programs that he would like to take, so we could sign him up so we could do the self-training course. Odds are that if you go through the operations side, the maintenance side, a lot of those courses, yes, it is a self-training course, but they also do a classroom. It's online classroom. Donnie got very, very lucky, because the last SMS training course that they were going to hold, because they're going to combine it into airport operations, they weren't going to do it online, and he managed to get a free trip to Washington, D.C. That was his first time in Washington.
Oh, nice.
Unfortunately, he never got to go to the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum because it was raining so bad that day.
That's good. All that sounds real good. Yeah, it's getting done, and they're getting their certificates and stuff.
And then through those courses, it's a lot of networking. So he got to network with safety management operations from San Francisco all the way to Jacksonville, Florida.
Great, thank you.
So he took full advantage of it. Airport development, IGM 2024-001 RFP. The request for proposals, City Council blessed DAVCON to move forward to the the second phase, request for proposal phase. So we issued that. And this is where they're going to come back with their proposed cost. They're kind of narrowing down and finalizing their structure layout. A little bit about their business plan, not too much on that. But it really gets into the meat and the potatoes. The first side was we're just seeing with the RFQ if they're qualified, if any businesses are qualified. This is where the rubber starts actually meeting the road. So we're hopefully get all proposals back by July 8th. They're the only ones that were accepted to move forward. They're the only ones that actually bid on this. And then after that, we have to go through the same scoring committee used for the RFQ to score them. And then from there, we're going to have to enter the negotiation phase and review their changes to the airport, which that may end up being very much a future special meeting once we have their finalized hangar layout plan, because that will make an adjustment to the ALP and ultimately in the future make an adjustment to the master plan, just because there's going to be so much changes to the airport and the surrounding area. On a bigger upside was due to this RFP, we've had other companies that have came out and really started asking questions about it. Not so much as they want to be involved, but what they want to know is a lot more about Kingman and this development. And some of these companies range from New York. We had one company that wanted to send that out to all their clients who are developers, property managers, businesses, send that out to their newsletter about this type of development going on in Kingman. So that further gets Kingman's name out there. We even had one company all the way from London, UK, email us asking us questions. So this has gone beyond just the United States and the Arizona area to even internationally. So we're hoping that we could further drive this and further not only enhance the airport and enhance the community through this development, but get our name out there to other businesses around the world and that may not be aware of Kingman. Any questions on the development?
Do you know who the committee is made up that's going to review their RFP once it's submitted?
It is members from our Public Works, our Economic Development, County Planning and Zoning, and then we also bring in another airport manager to provide some input beyond just my input. So we get multiple people or multiple departments involved, and including other third parties that may sit back and say, nope, I view it this way, or this may be something I'm fully behind or be aware of this.
Has there been any discussion on how much time you'd like to spend on that, reviewing that and getting it back to them?
When it comes to those items, once we actually receive the RFP, honest with you, we're probably going to reach out and start trying to plan something ahead of time, depending on the size of these RFPs and the complexities. We will send that out. We'll schedule a date for the actual meeting and scoring committee. And when we do that, we send them the full-blown RFP. So they'll have a week and a half to sit back and review it and have any questions. And then we go into a closed-off meeting where we have discussions and score it. Once it's scored, then we'll have to start going through the negotiation phase of the project. Because that's going to be a really big part of this. As I stated before, I don't want the airport or the city taking on a lot of additional burden without having enough resources coming in, enough profit coming in to, how could I say, maintain the facilities due to the increase of air traffic in larger aircraft. So it's going to still take a while. We're still going to move as quick as we possibly can, but we don't want to do it hazardously.
Thank you, Doug.
Will the RFP, will we have a chance as the commission to look at it in advance of it being presented to city council?
You guys will be taking a look at the actual master plan. Their actual development, it is gonna take a while because we are going to have a lot of discussions. And it may actually depend on when this actually occurs. But, our whole goal is to actually get the actual development plan to you guys as soon as the city staff, we review it and we make sure there's no violation of other federal laws or inconsistencies that may put the, how could I say, the flying community in jeopardy.
Okay, thanks.
Airport projects, Taxiway Bravo project. Last week we reviewed the updated plans. We made a few changes. And right before I came into this meeting, I was on the phone with our engineers. They are finalizing the bid documents for our final review and to post that to get this project moving forward. We did have a few minor changes in there that when we reviewed the plans, again, we said, nah, there's no point in having this. This actually poses a higher risk, so we had them remove it. So we are moving forward with that. They're just working on the final actual bid documents to publish. The PAPI project, that current design process is in review. That's replacing our precision approach path indicators. Actually, the design and engineering is currently ongoing at this time. So that's replacing the PAPI's, precision approach path indicators, on all runways. Supplemental wind cone relocation for runway 0321 that goes in front of council tomorrow. For that agreement, that is just taking those wind cones. One wind cone, we're just moving it about 100 feet a little bit further of the runway. Or actually a little bit less than that. The other wind cone, we had an issue, and that will be on the southern side. We just couldn't move it a few feet over to the left or east or to the west because it would have been impacting the object-free and safety areas at either the runway or the taxiway. So we're actually gonna have to take that and move it all the way almost across the runway, physical runway, on the opposite side of the I gotta say on the east side of the runway. East side of the runway. So yes, sir. The other runway, the supplementary wind cones are outside of the object-free area, so we don't have to move those. Master drainage study. This was actually tied into the industrial park master development plan. We had a conversation 2 weeks ago with our engineers on this. They are grabbing the water studies from the industrial park master development plan, because that water on the southern end of the airport goes up through that future plan, future design, and then makes its way to the airfield. So they need that drainage study done by J.E. Fuller to predict or have better models of the water as it runs across the southern side of the airport. So they're obtaining that information from J.E. Fuller to put that into the industrial park, or to the airport master drainage study. Taxiway Delta. Late last month, we had the 30% design plan meetings with ADOT. ADOT has made some smaller additional requests and changes to the plan and asked us to review some drainage items. So we're taking that information, we're going back. We're going to be making those minor adjustments and a few other adjustments, and from there, we're going to be working with moving it forward for the FAA for the 30% review of these plans. But that is actually moving forward. We need to get around 90% before we could actually go after an actually fully funded grant, or a grant for the actual construction. North drainage ditch repair, that was complete. That was a drainage on the very northern side of the airport, where during one of the monsoons it has eroded the entire security fence, and we had to put up some temporary fencing, which caused some other issues where the temporary fence wasn't hold up. The actual ditch was eroding. So we went through, we fixed the ditch, we added riprap, and then we also replaced it with a security fence and a smaller gate to reduce wildlife from intrusion on the airfield. So that was completed. Runway closure boxes. I got that RFP in my inbox. I got to review that and then type up the letters to go out to businesses for them to bid on the runway closure boxes. Wildlife hazardous management program, I'm gonna be honest with you, I said I'll review it by last meeting. I have not been around to review that at this time. Staff has had a lot of stuff. But that's still one on our priority list. Industrial park company signs, this is something that I gotta give economic development a little bit of props on, or a little bit of attaboy. When you come inside of the industrial park, you'll see that large sign off to the right with all our businesses. They went ahead and they hired a company to go out there and paint that, kind of spruce it up, because on the back side and around the names it's looking like it was rust. So I got to give them a lot of credit for that, especially Miss Lisa Lewis. She was pushing that forward.
Is that the lighted sign you're talking about, the main entrance big sign you're talking about?
As soon as you go underneath the underpass,
Yeah, the big marquee sign?
yes, the
Okay.
very large sign that's up there with all the companies' names. Annual hangar preventative maintenance. This is going to be going on with our maintenance staff. So what we're trying to do is just give everybody a little bit heads up. Our maintenance staff is going through each of the T hangars to review them, check on the lights, check on the weather stripping, making sure there's no issues right before the monsoon season hits. So we're making those corrections. Also, another item that we're going to ask for our pilot community to be aware of. One of the items that we're going to be targeting for the next month is grading around the runway and taxiway edge lights and the pavement surfaces. You're technically not supposed to have any lips over 3 inches from the pavement down to the dirt. So they're going to go back through, check on all the lips, pave that, get that back into compliance. So don't be shocked, just work with us a little bit. If you see our staff moving along the side of runways and taxiways, please, a lot of communication. Even though it doesn't seem like they're hearing our pilots as they come in, they very much listen to it, and they very much love it when pilots give them 10, 15 miles heads up, because they know they can pack up their stuff and get off. So it's very helpful. Also, we're expecting an increase in airfield sweeping on the runways and taxiways. We've been doing once a month, and then lately with the higher winds picking up, we noticed that has just not been keeping up with it. So the staff is pushing for now sweeping all surfaces twice a week. Or they're doing once a week, but now they're pushing for twice a week. So here is something new. The FAA has had another additional changes with the Reauthorization Act. One is disadvantaged business enterprises, which is either minority-owned businesses. In our documents, our bid documents, we usually requested a percentage, and we encouraged DBEs to participate. Now we have to actually come up with a program and a DBE 3-year goal. There's also some additional changes coming down the pipeline that we haven't really confirmed or not confirmed, but in the meantime, we're still going to be pushing forward with a program that puts in there who's going to be over DBE, how we're going to track it, what are we going to do to make sure we're in compliance with it. And this goes for any airport now that receives over $250K worth of federal grant money for projects, and then also set based upon our future 3-year capital improvement projects, set our goals, our DBE goals. So we have reached out to several businesses to provide us quotes and estimates. We will hopefully get all that information back, or at least get 3 quotes back by June 24th, 2024.
It's just basically coming up with a program or trying to show that you're reaching out and working on this, because, I mean, I suppose you could do all that you can do and still there may not be any participation with a certain percent, and sometimes you can't do anything about that if you don't. So just showing that you're giving an effort, I guess, is that what it is? You have a program giving an effort?
Effort, and then also one thing about it is that there could be some businesses out there where we're also kind of getting this information out that could be labeled as a DBE program. And we're
Like
kind of
somebody
hoping
that-
that some of our local businesses will hear this, and they'll know that, hey, you could probably register as a DBE with the state, and possibly with the federal government, so you could be a part of these contracts. But,
Like they may not even know, so it's kind of an outreach, like, hey, you might be qualified, you don't even know it, kind of thing.
may be qualified.
I got you, okay.
At the same time, the government's asking, they're gonna say, hey, we want to know a percentage, and that's based upon your demographic in your area. Ours is gonna be a lot lower than some areas, but we at least need to make attempts to reach out to those businesses, get them involved. If not, then we just gotta state, hey, we've done everything within our due diligence. Here's the businesses we reached out to, for these projects. They did not respond. We shot them an email or that information, why they did not respond, so we could verify, basically say we did our best.
Okay.
But we're not 100% sure with that because a lot of these rules are kind of changing. One of these rules that kind of popped up right now that we're asking for clarification on is actually going to some of these businesses that may be more architectural or planning that's not out there in the field and verify that they're able to do the work at their offices. So that kind of, how could I say, scares me a little bit, because if that's true, if the business is all the way down to Phoenix, that means we may have to go down to Phoenix just to verify their business. But we're going through this, try to get a little bit of clarification on this.
Does this apply to anybody that's getting contracts from the airport, or are they looking for, because we have at least one company, the upholstery shop is Hispanically owned.
Sorry.
Does that help?
No, this is for actual construction businesses.
Okay.
Let's just say, throw it out there. If you're repaving a taxiway and you're looking at really 4 businesses, the asphalt supplier, the company that's actually going to lay down the asphalt, the striping company, and let's just throw it out there, let's just say if we're running electrical lights. Your electrician group may be considered your DBE, and based upon the overall cost, estimated cost of the project, they may receive, let's say, 7% or 6% of the total earnings of the project. So your DBE, how could I say, participation is that 6 or 7% of the project. If it is your actual paver, obviously it's going to be a lot more, and you'll reach a DB goal of 40, 50%. So
Does
a lot of
this
this is
also
going to
count
be
like the terminal building, for example? Does that count as the airport per se? If there was work on the terminal building that was happening, does that qualify in this area too, or not really?
if it takes federal funds.
I gotcha.
If it
Okay.
takes federal funds.
Okay.
Federal funds will be attached to this.
Okay.
A lot of other parts inside the city, having a discussion with Public Works, are kind of blessed because ADOT takes that over. ADOT accepts it because ADOT's pretty much handling the project. They set the DB goals and they verify, whereas we're a little bit different. We have to go out there, develop our own goals, and then verify that these DBEs are actually conducting the work. USGS and Mojave County Aquifer Well Monitoring Site. This is actually a little bit more. I think one of the Arizona's water ADEQ systems may be involved. The county used to have, or we used to have 3 well monitoring sites spread throughout the county. Some have been vandalized, so the county reached out to the airport and say, hey, any chance do you have a location nearby so we can install a well in a little bit more of a protected area? So we are working with the county and USGS to identify a site on the airport where the land is still owned by the airport, but is not considered a part of the aeronautical side, so we don't have to go through the whole NEPA process for this. We could just go ahead and get an easement in there and put it a well monitoring site on the airport. So we're working with those groups and we're having weekly meetings with them.
So that would be more in the industrial park side?
A little bit more on the industrial park side. I don't really want to say the locations because we don't want this getting out there so nobody comes in and tries vandalizing it. But we are working with them. They're also identifying other areas, both city-owned and county-owned property throughout the Wallapai Valley.
Do you happen to know if the vandalization is there just something that has a value in there, or they're just messing with stuff?
I can't say, it may just be
Yeah.
messing with stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't go in that much information with them, I just said, let's just find a solution, let's find a good spot.
Yeah.
But it would not be with, inside the fence.
May not be inside the fence on the aeronautical side, but
Yeah.
it may actually be one of our other spots inside the fence that's kind of considered non-aeronautical. I don't want to go into too much information, because we're trying to keep it quiet.
Yeah, I get that.
Are there any active potable wells in the industrial park?
Active, are you talking about,
Well, they've
city
been dug
wells?
and rigged, and maybe they're not being utilized, but they've been there for a while.
I know the city has overall on the airport property, I think 1, 2, 3 wells. I think they're either active or they could be activated. The city water staff goes out there every now and then. We actually see them. They go to those wells and they check to make sure all the pumps and everything are running. But actually capped wells, we don't have any to our knowledge.
Thank you.
Now the big one, draw site. Major construction is complete. Have a little bit of information out here. This is from right after our 5/17/2024 meeting. That gives you a little bit of idea of total man hours of the primary contractor and subcontractor. Over 52,000 man hours. That is a lot. On the other side, we've had approximately 95,726 tons of dross contaminated soil and concrete and other objects. We're still waiting to get the final tonnage for the landfill. Just heard today that they accepted the last rail cart up in Oklahoma, Lone Mountain, Oklahoma, and they have not sent that actual tonnage back to us. So hopefully here in the next week or two, we'll have a finalized tonnage of soil that they accepted. We also do very much have, how can I put it? If you want to know that truckloads, that's 4,620 truckloads, or in rail cars, 924 rail cars. The final rail car left about mid-May. So, it's almost done. Major construction's done. They're doing a little bit minor cleanups in a few spots, nothing significant. We are waiting for the final asphalt test to come back. Our engineers are just saying, hey, this may just end up being just something we have to go through. They don't see any issues popping up with the final asphalt results. As-built, that's the actual final construction documents of the entire site. The engineers are finalizing those documents to hand over to the city. And then also the closeout reports for DEQ. Haley and Aldridge is working on that closeout report. Hopefully we'll get that by early next month so we could review that. And then once everybody agrees to that, that goes to DEQ for them to close out their permit process. Once that permit process is closed out, everything's done. It's officially closed out.
Mr. Cooper, did you ever think you'd see this day? You've only been here the whole process, and you have too. It's like, oh my God.
Is the project going to come in at or under budget?
We're going to be a little bit under budget. They're still trying to factor in. We're going to receive another change order for credits for the project. Not saying we need more money, but actually credits. Once they're determining that right now, once we get that information in, then we're going to go through. Right now, we're looking at, not counting the upcoming credits, but at this present time, we're about we still have additional around $3.5 million in contingency.
Nice.
And some of that is going to go back to the airport fund, correct?
Some of it is, yes, sir.
Do you have a percentage?
So whatever's in contingency, whatever we have left over, 2 million of that comes off the top, meaning that's that'll be associated with the legal fees. It'll go back to the airport fund. The remainder of the $52.5 million, there'll be a split, 60-40 with Haley and Aldridge. And it's kind of the incentive to try and keep prices down, 60 in our favor. So whatever's left after you take the 2 million off, 60 comes to the city, 40 goes to Haley.
Okay. Nice.
To the city or the airport?
It's the airport.
Airport.
Okay,
When I say city, that's what I mean.
thank you.
It goes to the city, but it goes to the airport's enterprise funds. But as we said, that can change. We're just waiting for the final totals to get put together so we could, they're gonna issue us a final credit or change order to say, this is your final credit of, that's gonna go into contingencies. They've done their best. They saved money, a good chunk of not removing some concrete. They were very surgical about it. And then the county came back after and reviewed the haul routes throughout the industrial park, and the county said, no, this is not done through the project. This is the roads were already in this condition from our before and after on the ground pictures and drone pictures. So the county closed out the road permits.
On that area, I know they're talking about it's kind of, their roads work that needs to be happening at the airport, as you know, but that end over there, which is near my area, I don't really go over that area very much, but do you know when the county's looking at doing any road work in that section that has been messed up for a while on Winrose? I guess it is Winrose.
I don't have anything, but
Okay.
I don't know, but I could probably
Okay.
reach out and find out.
No, but
Okay, FAA ADOT coordination. This is for the land release and master plan. Please forgive me. We're going to try connecting both these together now because they're so interlinked and working together. We provided a industrial park master development plan draft for FAA's review. At the same time, there have been some changes, additional changes, always changes. First time it was due to the changes of land use planning, and now these changes came through the FAA Reauthorization Act, which occurs every 5 years. Some more changes came down the pipeline. FAA is learning those changes. As usual, it comes out through the federal government or through Congress, and then the different departments underneath them have to figure out how they're going to implement it. So they're in the process of doing that. At the same time, we're working on scheduling a meeting to go down to Phoenix and meet with them to discuss what, on their side, working with the ADO Airport's district office to get the 790-acre land release. In the meantime, we are meeting with some of Senator Kelly's staff, and they mentioned that Buckeye, Arizona, has managed to get around 800 acres released from federal obligations. So when we found out about that, we reached out to Buckeye's airport manager, and theirs is a little bit different. Their situation was, it was an abandoned airport, 940 acres. It was on state-owned land, which posed another issue. So the FAA looked at it, and knowing the FAA, they probably said, yeah, it's an abandoned airport. You can't salvage the runways, you can't salvage the taxiways. There's already roads crisscrossing it. Yeah, we'll let you, remove all obligations, but we want you to, how could I say, take the land sales and give it to the either airports throughout the state that's under state control or the city of Buckeye's airport. I'm not too sure. I didn't go into too much detail. Unfortunately, that couldn't happen because the airport property is owned by the state, and under state law, if you sell state land, it must go into education. So they had a conflict. Their airport manager told me about a group, Nexus Group, that helped them get their land release into the FAA Reauthorization Act. So we reached out to them. We've had discussions, and we're still having discussions right now with them for contract discussions, how it functions, and we're also vetting this group by speaking to some of the other cities that have worked with them before, because this could go just much further than just the 790 acres land release. We found out that this group has somehow got appropriations for other cities for road, drainage development, in the tens of millions of dollars. So this could go much further than the airport. So we're kind of doing our due diligence, speaking with these guys and speaking to other communities that have utilized them through this process.
Manager Breckenridge, is it true that the city had a date and there was decided there was going to be a date with Senator Kelly's office and the FAA, and the FAA canceled that meeting? recently without rescheduling?
They canceled that meeting because of the changes, and they
Okay.
just requested us for us to, give them some time, let them review the changes. They did propose a updating meeting in July.
Okay.
But we're trying to see if we could get a lot sooner
Okay.
than in the middle of the July. We're trying to work to get them pushed up a lot
I know it's
sooner.
been a major struggle with them to make all this happen. I'm just, was kind of made aware of that. I went, oh, God, another delay. And of course, we have this big RFP or RFQ that's coming, this is all kind of tied together. So, I don't know.
Everything impacts everything.
Yeah.
I mean, with these types of items, they're interlinked, and makes everything a little bit difficult, frustrating. I'll be honest with you, don't want to hear me up here venting and complaining. It's kept me up at night. So we're going to go at the same time. We're still going to approach this lobbyist route. If there's a possibility that we could go through some type of act of Congress, we would like to have that opportunity to go through an act of Congress. On the other hand, in many aspects, I think that maybe FAA will be like, thank you, because you're stopping, you don't have to speak with us anymore. You're just going to go through with, that takes us completely out of the picture. So you have that possibility too. I don't want to speak on their behalf. So this is going to be kind of the cutting or grinding our teeth on a federal lobbyist.
All right, thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions? Rancho Santa Fe Parkway Environmental Assessment, that's already been complete. We received the FONSI. The FAA has given us permission to move forward with a perpetual use easement. We're just waiting for the final letter. I've been harassing them to get that final letter back, stating that you may proceed forward with the next phase for the road construction. But we do have a little bit of time with that, but I'm harassing them. I won't say harassing, but constantly emailing them to get a date when we're going to get that letter back. Hangar wait list, occupancy wait list. Hangar A, all 5 are occupied. We have 7 on the wait list. B and C hangars, out of 30, we only have 26 occupied, and we have 8 on the wait list. The reason for that is a lot of these individuals do not have aircraft. They are proposing that they have aircraft or they want to purchase aircraft in the future, but they currently do not have aircraft or are unable to move in within a reasonable amount of time.
When they don't have aircraft and a hangar becomes available, you just continue going down the list?
We go down the list and we wait to find somebody who has an aircraft immediately available. If nobody has an aircraft available, then we at least leave those open for somebody who does give a call and say, hey, I need a hangar right now. Bam, it's available instantly for there. We want to avoid our hangars being tied up and used as storage units.
So there's never really a case too where someone, let's say they don't want to use it for storage, but they want to make sure it's available. If they buy an airplane, you don't just let them lease it out and have it be empty for an indefinite period of time until they can figure out what they want to buy.
No,
Yeah.
we need somebody to have an aircraft. You just can't lease it out to aircraft that are non-functional, non-use. That could pose future issues. And also what it can turn into is somebody starts storing their RV in there or their parts for their homes or cars. And then we'll definitely come across an issue with federal regulations.
Yep.
So we just want to avoid that totally. Also, one of the upsides is by having those hangars available, even though we're still waiting on people to either purchase aircraft or come with, or other people approaching us with aircraft. If we do have one of the businesses here that's on the airfield or airport or another tenant that says, hey, I just need to swing my landing gears, or I got somebody who I cannot get in right away, do you mind have a spot for them temporarily to store their aircraft? That's when we start utilizing those hangars on a temporary basis for our businesses and our other tenants. D hangars, 10, 9 are occupied. We have 2 on the wait list. The one hangar we're going through the process of finish cleaning that out. That was a part of the Dross project, and we're also trying to fix that door. Sat back and spoke to one of my staff members. They said they could fix the door. At one point, only one door was opening. So you could not get an aircraft in there, and they've been messing around. They think they've actually found a solution. So we're hopefully they can get that resolved, and we can have that acre available, and then turn that wait list down to 1.
What's the current rent on the D hangars?
Ms. Platt, can you speak?
They lease for $276.70 per month, $250 deposit.
$276.70?
Yes, sir, and $250 deposit.
Thank you.
You gonna buy another airplane?
No, not right now. Just trying to keep up.
Cover tie downs, we have 1 on the wait list for the cover tie downs. All 10 are occupied. Overall budget, I don't, we already verified, we called up that person. It's inside of the maintenance shop. We'll do another
Still.
follow-up.
For this entire year, it's been in the maintenance shop.
I mean, that's, all you do is verify.
Yeah, I get it.
As long as they're actively trying to get it up and running. If it gets to the point to where it looks like there's no headway, then we can step in and say you're losing your spot. But they're showing they're trying. So we're about 92% through the fiscal year as of May 31, 2024. I kind of removed some of the redundant items on this. It was getting confusing, especially me trying to read everything off. So instead of having separate totals, I just add them into the overall revenue and actual expenses. The airport has received $1,863,385 in revenue. The industrial park, $179,880 in revenue, for a total of $2,042,770 in revenue. For the expenses, the airport, as of the end of May, we've been through 71% of our entire budget of $1,411,000. For the industrial park, we've went through 34% of the expenditures, or around $50,000. That's a lot different from the last commission meeting. Just want to go ahead and explain that, because we were looking at a drainage study on the northern side of the airport and addressing the drainage on the northern end beyond just the airport property. When we found out that was going to be unreasonable, or the FAA was not going to allow us to do these other options, that cost that was put in there as encumbered was released. So it dropped back down to another level. If we were still going to pursue it, then it'll still keep going up and being over 70%. So total, $1,461,617 in expenses. There's our total fuels. We're very much more higher up this year than last year, significant amount. One thing we have noticed is that we've seen some storage aircraft going back into service. On the other hand, we're hearing additional storage aircraft are coming in, so it's kind of bouncing out. We also did see a slight uptick, not too much during the Super Bowl in Formula One. And then one of the beautiful things is I don't know who it is, but somebody that is training their pilots to fly Pilatus seem to love our airport, and they spend a lot of fuel, because we'll get.
There's a lot of Pilatus activity. I've noticed that too. And other corporate stuff, it seems like it's more now than it was in prior years. Just it's noticeable. So.
Yes, sir. So we're seeing that uptick. But that's it for airport reports.
When do you expect Taxiway Bravo to start construction?
Let's just say in the next couple of weeks, if we do get the bids out, that's going to have to be 30 days of the bids being on the streets. Then you have to go with the lowest bid. From there, lowest bid that actually demonstrate they could actually do the work. Then after that, then you have to put that in for the city council, the Wednesday following the prior city council, so you're looking about a week and a half, 2 weeks for it to be on city council agenda. And then once city council blesses it, then it takes some time to go ahead and get all that stuff moving, asphalt, mobilizing, scheduling dates. So you're probably looking at another 2-3 months before you could actually start working.
So probably the end of summer?
Yes, sir. And that's what it's looking like.
And did you say recently that it's back to 2 phases now? We're going to do the first half, then the second half. How's that going to work?
Yeah, it's two. You have the primary phase, which goes all the way connecting to Delta 4, all the way down to around those Ron Doty's and Joe Shelton's hangar. And then you have alternate, which is a little bit further down. So they're going to bid on the primary, and then they're going to bid on the alternate.
Are they gonna tear out the concrete that's there, or are they gonna go over the concrete?
They're going to have to tear out the concrete. We've had that discussion. The concrete is unsalvageable. On the other hand, we came across another issue was that right after COVID, when we received all the estimates back and we received all the grants, we came across the problem where the overall cost of the project skyrocketed. We went back, we reviewed the plans, we found out that that taxiway design was designed to handle MD-80s and bigger. But we were not going to receive MD-80s. So we sat back and said, well, what is the point of building something up to the site to handle the weight of an MD-80 if we're not anticipating MD-80s actively using that taxiway on a routine basis? So we told the engineers to go back, change it up to what our current aircraft fleet mix is that will most likely use that taxiway, and see if we can reduce those costs to bring it down so we could hopefully do the entire both sections at once.
And this is in anticipation also of potential future traffic from the new development down there with the size stuff they may be working on?
Well, when that comes up, we're going to ask the new development to push their aircraft up to different sections.
Okay.
If they want to use that area, then that will be a whole nother part of negotiations. That's one area that I want to just push and say is that when we actually get to the contract negotiations phasing plan, there's going to be a lot of discussions. Because I really would not prefer something the size of a 737 traveling over the draw site area. I would rather have us develop an adjacent taxiway or ramp that can support those aircraft on a routine basis.
Any other questions for Manager Breckenridge? Any questions from our remote locations?
None from me.
Okay, then we'll move forward to announcements by commissioners. I'm sorry? Oh, sorry, I missed it. Yeah. Recommend request for future agenda items or reports.
And Chair Aaron Spoker, this is another item that's coming from our city council. They're putting that out there in case if you guys have any requests for reports or other items that you wish the staff to bring or discuss. This is the avenue about going that route. Turns out some commissions were unaware they had the ability to, so we're just making it a little bit more official location.
Do we still have a city council liaison?
Yes, we do. It's still Councilmember Savage. I believe, I really don't want to fully speak for the city council, but I believe they discussed at their last special meeting on the 11th that they're just going to keep the liaisons where they're at this time till the end of this year.
So is there a specific process we go to request future agenda items?
You could
Or just the way we've been doing it?
just kind of the way you have been doing it.
Oh.
Or if you sit back and you say, hey, just like, I'm trying to think of one. Like, let's just say, if you're asking for, how can I say, Part 71 study, or, hey, can you please explain that to me? Can you please give us an update on hangar maintenance? Could you give us an update on pavement management systems, those types of items?
How often is the oil repository collected, things like that?
Last time it was checked, it was less than 50%.
So we normally would contact Mr. Amspoker to have something added on there between now and the next
Well,
meeting?
in the past, that's how it's kind of been going, but this
Okay.
gives it in case if anybody's in here and they say, hey, I want to, a further update on rail development.
Okay.
I want a further update on airfield projects or just maintenance items.
But it can also be, if it's not this moment, if something comes up like next week or something like that, we can contact you or David or whatever.
You could do it either way.
Okay.
You could do it either way. I'm just gonna be honest with you. You want to text message it to me?
Okay.
We can. I got no problem with that.
Okay.
I try to keep an open door.
If you're not aware, Mr. Breckenridge and I get together usually a few days before the meeting. Like last week, we got together on Tuesday and went over the agenda. And anything that you would want on the agenda, let me know and it'll be on the agenda. Or you can let him know and we'll discuss it and it'll end up on the agenda.
Or if you want to, you could ask for it in the meetings. It really depends on whichever way you want to approach it. I'm open for any of it.
Thank you.
And thank you, Janie, for pointing that out, that we skipped it.
Just a reminder, in the past, whenever the commissioners wanted an item on the agenda, it was during the announcement process that y'all made the request. So that's what happened in the past.
And just one idea, if it's a very complex item, it may not be, if we go back to the once every 2 months, it may take a little bit more time to get that information. So it may not be on directly the very next meeting. It may be delayed a little bit further out, just depending on the complexity of
Especially if
the
we ask
request.
you 3 days before.
Yeah. Well, if you sit back and you ask for a race of fee study for all the airports in Arizona, that's going to take a while.
Okay, announcements from commissioners. Tom, you got anything to announce?
None for me.
Tim?
None for me at this time.
Paul?
Nope.
Not for me.
Brandon, do you have anything you wish to announce?
I'm happy to be done with school. Graduated with my second master's degree. So yeah,
Congratulations.
Yes.
thank you.
What is it in?
Master's Science in IT Management.
Nice.
John Stutzman? Anything to report?
None from me. Thank you.
Well, the EAA chapter did a Young Eagles rally, and we flew 42 children, and it was done out of the terminal. And though it's always a little chaotic in the beginning, it smoothed out and we got it completed. And we were done by noon. The EAA chapter is going to have a guest speaker in the August meeting, a gentleman by the name of Johnson, who is an expert on MOAs and airspace usage that is going to come in to the August 3rd meeting of the EAA chapter. We want to get the word out to the community because not all the pilots in the area are aware of it. So we're going to ask the folks at the administration office to get a word out to all the users of the airport. And I'll be in touch with you on that information. We've done that before. I gotta call him yet and find out if it's gonna qualify for wings. That might encourage more people to attend, for wings credits. So, that's all I got.
And Chair Spooker, I'd like to just make a brief announcement also.
Sure.
I just want to thank EAA for providing a few aircraft. Once a year during the summertime, the parks puts on a little program for kids, and they spend roughly around 3 days up at the airport. EAA provided 3 aircraft for those kids, just to let them take a look inside and learn about 4. I'm not counting you. I'm joking. 4 aircraft. Also, some of our tenants, Jet Yard Aviation, they provided an aircraft, a larger full-scale aircraft. Guardian Air provided their medevac helicopter for kids to look inside of a helicopter, have that understanding. And it's going to drive me nuts. I can't remember the name of the aerial firefighting group that has that large sky crane out there. They also were available for those kids to take a look at that very large aircraft.
That's nice.
Doug, I believe that's Helicopter Express.
Helicopter Express? Okay.
Please.
Yes.
I think you're right, yeah.
It is big.
We
It
had
is big.
like 60 kids. 60 kids came out, and they seemed pleased, don't you think?
They seemed happy. Of course, it's always towards the end of the day, being on a large slab of asphalt and concrete, it gets brutal. So as the sun rises, you can see their enthusiasm goes down.
As it gets warmer, yeah. We also had a class inside the administration in the conference room where each of the groups got a little ground school. So. Request for future agenda items and updates is the last thing, and we've kind of already covered that.
Yep.
It's an-
So-
I'm sorry.
Nothing to add. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn meeting?
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? We're done. Thank you.
Now I think.